Rancher can't tame the bull, May. Until a child reveals a unique method. Walter Thompson rubbed his calloused hands over his weary face as he surveyed yet another destroyed fence. Thunder the bull, his most valuable animal, had attacked again during a potential buyer's visit. The 60-year-old rancher felt the weight of 40 years working that land. Willow Creek Ranch, deep in Texas, was everything he had built alongside his wife, Martha. Now, with mounting debts and the bank threatening to take it all, that bull represented his last hope. "Mr. Thompson, Dr. Anderson left really angry," said Charlie, the oldest ranch hand. "He said he won't come back until you can control that beast." "I know, Charlie. I know," Walter sighed, removing his hat and running a hand through his graying hair. Tommy, a boy of about 10 who had arrived at the ranch a few months earlier, watched from a distance. The boy was an orphan, and Martha had insisted on taking him in when they found out he'd been sleeping at the town's bus station. Since then, he helped with simple chores and ate at the family's table. "Dad, you've already tried everything," said Emily, the couple's only daughter, who had returned from Austin to help with the financial troubles. "I haven't tried everything yet," Walter retorted, stubborn as ever. Martha appeared on the porch of the main house, drying her hands on her apron. At 58, she still carried the simple beauty that had won Walter's heart decades ago. "Walt, come eat. Standing there won't solve anything." "How can I eat, Martha? That animal will be the end of me. 3 buyers have already walked away because of him." Tommy approached slowly, carrying a bucket of chicken feed. "Mrs. Thompson, can I ask you something about the bull?" "Of course, sweetheart. Go ahead." "Why doesn't Mr. Thompson try talking to him?" Walter let out a bitter laugh. "Talking? Boy, that's nearly a ton of muscle and horns. It's not a puppy." "My grandma always said every animal has its own way of understanding things," Tommy replied, lowering his gaze. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, back to the story. The conversation was interrupted by the sound of splintering wood. Thunder had broken another board in the pen. "There he goes again," Walter muttered. The bull was truly impressive, with a glossy black coat and curved horns, weighing over 800 pounds. He had cost a fortune 2 years ago, when Walter still believed he could expand the business. "Dad, Dr. Wilson said his behavior is getting worse," Emily said worriedly. "Maybe we should take Hank's offer." Hank was the neighboring rancher who had offered 1/10 of the bull's real value, knowing the Thompson family's desperation. "I'd rather die than hand Thunder over to that opportunist," Walter snapped. That afternoon, while everyone rested, Tommy approached the pen where the bull was kept. The animal snorted and pawed the ground, agitated. "Hi, Thunder," the boy said, keeping a safe distance. "You're sad too, huh?" The bull paused for a moment and looked toward the boy. "I know how it feels to be angry when people don't understand you." Tommy began humming a soft tune, a song his grandmother had taught him. Slowly, the animal calmed. Walter, who had overheard the exchange, stepped out from behind a tree. "Boy, get away from there now," he whispered, afraid of startling the bull. "It's okay, Mr. Thompson. He just wants attention. Tommy, come here right now." The boy obeyed but waved at the bull before leaving. "Bye, Thunder. I'll come back tomorrow." "What do you think you're doing?" asked Walter, pulling Tommy by the arm. "Sorry, Mr. Thompson. It's just that I noticed something about the way he acts." "What is it?" "He's not angry all the time. Only when there are too many people around or when there's loud noise." Walter stopped to process what he'd just heard. "How do you know that?" "I've been watching. My grandma used to take care of hurt animals back in the countryside where we lived. She taught me to pay attention to the signs. That night during dinner, Tommy told the family what he'd noticed about the bull's behavior. "Martha, don't you think the boy might be onto something?" asked Walter. "Could be, Walt. Kids sometimes see things we don't." "Dad, you're not going to let a kid mess with that dangerous animal, are you?" protested Emily. "He's not dangerous if you know how to approach him," Tommy argued. "And how do you know that, son?" Martha asked gently. Tommy stayed quiet for a moment, pushing his food around. "My grandma used to say that an angry animal is usually just scared or in pain." "Pain?" Walter repeated. "Yeah, Maybe Thunder is hurting and can't tell us. The next day, Walter called the local vet, Dr. Peters, to examine the bull. Physically, he's perfect, Walter, the vet said after the checkup. But behavior is tricky. Could be trauma, could be stress. Trauma from what? I don't know. Do you know his history before he got here? Walter shook his head. He'd bought the animal from a breeder in Dallas who went under fast. All I know is he sold for a high price at auction. These high-value genetic animals sometimes go through rough patches, separated from their mothers, too young, shuffled around a lot. Tommy had been listening from a distance. "Dr. Peters," the boy called. "Hey, Tommy, how are you? Do you think if we treat Thunder with kindness, he could get better?" The vet smiled. "He sure could, son, but it takes a lot of care and patience." "I've got patience." Walter looked at the boy with a new expression. "Tommy, what did your grandma do when an animal was upset? First she'd stay back and watch. Then she'd figure out what made them nervous and avoid doing those things. And then? Then she'd move closer, real slow, always singing or talking soft, never forced anything. And it worked? Sure did. Once, she tamed a horse nobody could ride. Walter and Martha exchanged glances. "Walt, let the boy try," Martha suggested. "Can't hurt." "Martha, what if something happens to him?" "Nothing's gonna happen, Mr. Thompson," Tommy said. "I'll keep my distance, just watch and talk." "Dad, maybe it's worth a shot," Emily agreed. "Things can't get much worse than they are now." Walter let out a deep sigh. "All right, but I'm keeping an eye on you the whole time." Over the next week, Tommy spent every afternoon near the pen, always staying at a safe distance. He watched when the bull got worked up and when he calmed down. "Mr. Thompson, come see," Tommy called one evening. Walter walked over. "Look, when the wind hits that tin over there, Thunder gets jumpy. Same when trucks pass on the road. You're right, never noticed that. And there's more. He likes it when I sing my grandma's song. Watch." Tommy started humming, and the bull, who'd been restless, stopped and turned toward the boy. "I don't believe it," Walter murmured. "Can I try getting closer tomorrow?" "Tommy, I don't know if—" "Please, Mr. Thompson, I promise I'll take it slow." That night, Walter talked it over with Martha. "Don't you think we should give the boy a chance?" "I do, Walt. Tommy's got a special way with animals. And if it goes wrong? And if it goes right? We're about to lose everything anyway." The next day, Tommy took a few steps closer to the pen, still humming. The bull watched but showed no aggression. "Hey, Thunder, remember me?" The animal shook its head as if answering. "You're handsome, you know? And strong too." Tommy stayed there for an hour, just talking and singing. Slowly, the bull moved closer to the fence. "Mr. Thompson, look," Tommy whispered. Walter stood frozen. The animal that tore down fences and scared buyers was calm, almost docile. "How did you do that?" "I didn't do anything special, just treated him like a person." "Like a person?" "Yeah, everyone has their own way. Thunder just needs us to understand his." Over the following days, Tommy kept working. He discovered the bull loved carrots and calmed down when he heard a soft, human voice. "Tommy, do you think you can keep him calm in front of a buyer?" Walter asked. "I think so. But it has to be just one person at a time, no noise. Dr. Anderson said he'll be back Friday for a final evaluation. Then we'll practice all week." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now back to the story. In the days that followed, Tommy spent even more time with the bull. Walter began joining the sessions, learning from the boy. "See, Mr. Thompson, when we talk loud, he gets scared, but when we whisper, he pays attention." "That's true. I never thought of that." "And another thing, he doesn't like it when we stand too close. He prefers it when we crouch down." Walter tried crouching near the fence. The bull did seem calmer. "How does a 10-year-old know these things?" "My grandma taught me to watch. She said animals talk to us, just not with words." "Your grandmother was a wise woman." "Yeah, I miss her every day." Walter felt a pang in his chest. Since Tommy had arrived at the ranch, he'd never spoken about his loss. "Did she pass long ago?" "About 8 months ago. After she was gone, I ended up at the bus station. Tommy, I never asked about your parents. I never knew my dad. My mom left when I was a baby. I only had grandma. Martha appeared with a pitcher of juice and some cookies. What's this serious talk about? I was telling Mr. Thompson about my family, Tommy said, accepting a glass of juice. Honey, you know you have a family here too, right? Martha said, ruffling the boy's curly hair. Tommy smiled for the first time since arriving at the ranch. I know, Mrs. Thompson. You've all been so good to me. Because we care about you, Tommy. You've brought joy to this house. On Thursday, the day before Dr. Anderson's visit, something unexpected happened. Hank, the neighboring rancher, showed up with 2 men. Walter, I'm here to make my final offer for the bull. Hank, I already told you I won't sell to you. But things have changed. I heard you're having trouble with the bank. Walter bristled. My problems are none of your business. Oh, they are, because if you don't pay up, I'll buy this whole ranch for a steal. Tommy watched from a distance, worried. That boy there, Hank pointed. The orphan you took in, right? Poor kid. When you lose everything, he'll be back on the streets. Hank, get off my property, Walter said, struggling to control his anger. Fine, but tomorrow, after Dr. Anderson sees you can't handle that beast, I'll come back with an even lower offer. After Hank left, the family fell silent. Dad, what if he's right? Emily asked. It won't go wrong, Tommy said firmly. Thunder is ready. Tommy, if it doesn't work out tomorrow, it's not your fault, Martha reassured him. It will work, Mrs. Thompson, I can feel it. That night, Tommy couldn't sleep. He left the house early and went to the pen. Hi, Thunder. Tomorrow's a big day for both of us. The bull moved closer to the bars. You know Mr. Thompson really needs you to behave, right? He's a good man. Mrs. Thompson and Emily, too. Tommy reached between the bars and gently touched the animal's muzzle. If all goes well, you'll stay here, well taken care of. And so will I. Walter appeared behind him. Couldn't sleep either. No, Mr. Thompson, I was thinking. About what? If it doesn't work out tomorrow, so will you have to send me away? Walter crouched beside the boy. Tommy, no matter what happens with the bull, you're part of this family now. Understand? Even if you lose the ranch? Even then, we'll figure it out. Tommy smiled and hugged Walter. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. You're like the grandpa I never had. Walter felt his eyes grow damp. And you're like the grandson I always wanted. On Friday morning, Dr. Anderson arrived promptly at 10. He was a distinguished man in his 50s who raised high-quality cattle in Washington, D.C. Walter, this is my last try. If the animal doesn't behave, I'm giving up for good. Dr. Anderson, this time will be different. How so? We found a way to handle him. Tommy stepped forward beside Walter. This is Tommy. He's the one who discovered Thunder's secret. The doctor eyed the boy skeptically. A boy? I know it sounds strange, Doctor, Walter said, but Tommy has a special gift with animals. All right, let's see. Tommy walked to the pen where the bull stood. The animal seemed uneasy with the stranger's presence. Excuse me, Dr. Anderson, Tommy said politely. Could you speak softly? Thunder doesn't like loud voices. The vet smiled but lowered his tone. Better? Perfect. Tommy began humming his special melody. Slowly, the bull calmed. Hi, Thunder. We have a visitor today. This is Dr. Anderson. The boy moved closer to the bars, still talking to the animal. He wants to meet you. Can you show him how handsome and well-mannered you are? To Dr. Anderson's astonishment, the bull approached calmly and let Tommy touch his muzzle. This is unbelievable, the vet murmured. Doctor, would you like to touch him? Tommy asked. Me? I don't know if... Don't be afraid. Just move slowly and speak softly. With his heart pounding, Dr. Anderson stepped forward. To his surprise, the bull remained calm. How did you manage this? It was Tommy, Walter said proudly. He realized Thunder just needed patience and kindness. And what was the secret? Tommy explained his method in detail. Careful observation, slow movements, a quiet voice, and lots of patience. I've never seen anything like it, Dr. Anderson said. This animal is completely transformed. So, are you still interested in buying? Walter asked hopefully. Interested? I want to close the deal right now, and I have another proposal. What proposal? I'd like to learn this method. I'll pay for your consulting on other difficult cases. Walter could hardly believe his ears. Consulting? Yes, I have many clients with troubled animals. If you get results like this, there's plenty of work ahead. Tommy looked at Walter with shining eyes. Mr. Thompson, we can teach others to understand animals. Yes, son. Yes, we can. The deal was closed for the full amount Walter needed to pay off the debts, plus a consulting contract that would guarantee extra income for the next few years. When Dr. Anderson left, the family gathered to celebrate. Tommy, how can we ever thank you for what you've done? Asked Martha. No need to thank me, Mrs. Thompson. You gave me a family. I'm just returning the kindness. But son, you saved our ranch, said Walter. We saved it together, Mr. Thompson. You taught me teamwork is stronger. Emily hugged the boy. Tommy, you have a wisdom most grown-ups don't. My grandma always said age doesn't guarantee wisdom, and that kids can teach adults too. That afternoon, Hank showed up again, expecting to find the family defeated. So, Walter, decided to take my offer yet? Hank, the bull's already been sold, for the full price. What do you mean? Dr. Anderson closed the deal this morning. Hank's face twisted in anger. Impossible, that animal's uncontrollable. Was, corrected Tommy, stepping beside Walter, until we figured out how to talk to him. A kid making a fool of me. No one's making a fool of anyone, Hank, Walter said calmly. Tommy just showed me there's more than one way to solve a problem. Hank stormed off, defeated. Mr. Thompson, Tommy said, now that things are better, can I ask you something? Of course, son. You said I'm part of the family. Does that mean I can stay here forever? Martha and Walter exchanged emotional glances. Tommy, Martha said, how about we make it official? What if you became our real son? Tommy's eyes widened. You want to adopt me? If you'd like, Walter replied. We'd love that. Tommy rushed to hug them both. Of course I want to. You're the best family in the world. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. In the months that followed, life at Willow Creek Ranch changed completely. Tommy was officially adopted by the Thompson family and started attending school in town. The method he and Walter developed became well known in the area. Ranchers from nearby towns came seeking help with difficult animals. Tommy, we've got another case, Walter said, walking in with a folder of papers. What kind of animal this time, Dad? A horse no one can ride. The owner's desperate. Should we go tomorrow? We sure will, but finish your homework first. Tommy had adjusted well to school, though sometimes he missed spending all day with the animals. Emily, do you think I should study to be a vet when I grow up? He asked his adoptive sister. I think you should study what makes you happy, Tommy, and working with animals seems to make you very happy. It really does, but I also like teaching people. Then maybe you can be both, a vet and a teacher. Tommy smiled. Never thought of that. Martha walked into the room where they were talking. Tommy, there's a letter for you. For me? From who? From Dr. Anderson. Tommy eagerly opened the letter. He wants us to visit his ranch next month. There are some tough cases there. And there's something else, Martha said with a mysterious smile. What? He spoke to a veterinary school. They want to learn about your work. A university? Yes. Seems professors are interested in the method you developed. Tommy flushed with excitement. You mean real professionals want to learn from me? They sure do, son. You're making history. That night, Tommy went out to say goodbye to Thunder, who would leave the next day for his new home. Hey, buddy, tomorrow you're leaving. The bull approached the fence, as he always did when he heard the boy's voice. Are you gonna miss it here? Tommy stroked the animal's muzzle. I'll miss you too, but you taught me something really important. The bull shook his head as if listening. You taught me that everyone has their own way of being, and that with patience and kindness we can understand anyone, or any animal. Walter appeared behind him. Talking to your friend, I was saying goodbye and thanking him. Thanking him. If it weren't for Thunder, I'd never have discovered my gift, and you all would have never given me a chance. Walter placed a hand on his adopted son's shoulder. Tommy, you know what impresses me most about you? What? Your ability to see the good in every situation. Thunder nearly bankrupted us, but you turned the problem into a solution. My grandma always said there's no problem without a way out, only people who give up too soon. Your grandma raised a very special boy, and you helped me see that. The next day, a trailer arrived to pick up the bull. Thunder calmly walked up the ramp, following Tommy's gentle commands. Bye, buddy, the boy said, waving. Be happy in your new home. Dr. Anderson oversaw the loading himself. Tommy, I want you to know this bull will get the best care possible. I know, Dr. Anderson, you're a good person, and you're an extraordinary boy. I can't wait to introduce you to my colleagues at the university. 2 weeks later, Tommy and Walter traveled to Washington, D.C. It was the boys' first time leaving the region. Dad, those buildings are huge, Tommy said, amazed by the capital. Wait till you see the university. Dr. Anderson's ranch was even bigger than Willow Creek. It had hundreds of animals and a full staff. Tommy, this is Cyclone, the doctor said, introducing a black horse that snorted aggressively. No one can get near him. Tommy watched the animal for a few minutes. Is he scared or angry? What do you mean? They're different. A scared animal needs kindness. An angry one needs boundaries. Tommy walked around the pen, keeping his distance. This one's angry. See how he bares his teeth and stomps? He's threatening. And what do we do with an angry animal? First figure out why he's mad, then show him we're not afraid, but we don't want to fight either. For 3 days, Tommy worked with the horse. He discovered the animal had been mistreated by his previous owner and became aggressive as defense. The difference between fear and anger, Tommy explained to a group of watching veterinarians, is that fear retreats and anger charges. And how do you tell which is which? Asked one doctor. By watching the signs. Ears back, body posture, the sounds they make. Did you learn this from books? No, by observing. My grandma said nature's the best teacher. By week's end, Cyclone let Tommy touch and even ride him. This is a miracle, Dr. Anderson said. It's not a miracle, doctor, Tommy corrected. It's just understanding each animal has its own story and respecting that story. The university professors were so impressed, they invited Tommy to give a lecture. Me? Talk to professors? Yes, Tommy, you have unique knowledge, but I'm just a kid. Age doesn't matter when you have wisdom, a professor said, and you have plenty. The lecture was scheduled for the next month. Tommy would need to prepare a presentation on his method. Back at Willow Creek Ranch, the whole Thompson family rallied to help Tommy prepare. What am I going to say to university professors? Asked Tommy nervously. Talk about what you know, said Emily. Tell them how you discovered each animal has its own personality. And about the importance of patience, added Martha. And about observation, Walter chimed in. Tommy spent days writing and rewriting his presentation. He wanted it to be perfect. The night before the trip for his lecture, Tommy went to Walter. Dad, can I ask you something? Of course, son. Do you think Grandma would be proud of me? Walter hugged the boy. I'm sure she would, Tommy. She planted a seed of wisdom in you, and now that seed is growing into a mighty tree. Sometimes I feel like she's still helping me. Maybe she is. Love doesn't end with goodbye. On the day of the lecture, Tommy was very nervous. The university auditorium was packed with professors, veterinarians, and students. Tommy, said Dr. Anderson, remember, you're not here to impress anyone. You're here to share knowledge. Just like you talk to animals, Walter added. Talk to people, with simplicity and truth. Tommy stepped onto the stage with shaky legs. When he saw all those eyes on him, he almost backed out. Then he remembered his grandmother's words. Son, when you know something that can help others, it's your duty to teach. Good afternoon, Tommy said firmly. My name is Tommy Thompson, and I'm 12 years old. A quiet chuckle spread through the room. I know it seems odd for a kid to be speaking to such smart adults, But I've learned something important. Wisdom doesn't have an age. The auditorium fell silent. My grandma taught me that every living thing has feelings. Animals feel fear, anger, sadness, and joy, just like us. Tommy told the story of Thunder the bull, explaining step by step how he'd discovered the problem and developed the solution. The secret isn't taming the animal, he explained. It's understanding the animal. When you understand, you can talk to them. But how do you talk to a bull? A professor asked. With respect. By watching what they're trying to say through their behavior. Every animal speaks, just not with words. Tommy spoke for an hour, answering questions and giving examples. When he finished, the audience gave him a standing ovation. Tommy, said the university dean, I'd like to extend an invitation. What invitation? When you turn 18, there's a scholarship waiting for you here. Tommy's eyes widened. A scholarship. Yes, so you can formalize your knowledge and become a licensed veterinarian. And so you can research and develop your method further, added a professor. Tommy looked at Walter, who was crying with pride. I accept, Tommy said, but only if I can keep living with my family. Of course, the dean laughed. Family is sacred. The following years flew by. Tommy kept helping local ranchers while studying. His reputation grew, and he began receiving invitations from other states. Tommy, Walter said one morning, a special invitation arrived. From where? The Department of Agriculture. They want you to present your method in Washington, D.C. To who? Government officials. They're interested in creating a national program based on your work. Tommy, now 15, had matured a lot, but kept the simplicity that always defined him. Dad, do you think I'm ready for something this big? Son, you were born ready. You just had to figure it out little by little. The presentation in Washington, D.C. was an even greater success. Tommy proposed creating training centers where ranchers could learn humane animal handling techniques. Young Tommy, said the secretary, this program could revolutionize Texan cattle farming. Secretary, I just want animals to be treated with dignity. They deserve it. And the ranchers benefit too? Of course. Well-treated animals produce more and live longer. Everyone wins. The program was approved and Tommy became an official government consultant. At 17, on the eve of starting college, Tommy made a special visit. Mrs. Thompson, can I go to the cemetery today? Of course, son. Do you want me to come with you? No need, it's something I need to do alone. Tommy took a bus to the town where his grandmother was buried. It had been a long time since he'd visited. Hi, Grandma, he said, kneeling before the simple grave. I came to share the news. The wind rustled the cemetery trees. I got a scholarship to a good university. I'm going to be a real veterinarian. Tommy adjusted the flowers he'd brought. And you know what else? I'll be able to teach others what you taught me, about patience, observation, understanding animals. I found a family who truly loves me. Mr. Thompson is like a father to me, and Mrs. Thompson takes care of me just like you did. Tommy stayed silent for a few minutes. Sometimes I still miss you, especially when I have to make tough decisions, but then I remember what you always said, follow your heart. It doesn't lie. A butterfly landed on the flowers Tommy had brought. Thank you for everything you taught me, Grandma. I promise to use that knowledge to help many people. On the way back, Tommy reflected on everything that had happened since the day he met Thunder the bull. If someone had told him back then that he'd become a nationally recognized expert, he wouldn't have believed it. But life had taught him that the greatest miracles happen when wisdom meets opportunity. And sometimes, the most valuable knowledge comes from the simplest places. 2 years later, Tommy graduated with honors from university. His thesis on animal behavior won national awards. Dr. Tommy, Dr. Anderson said at graduation, remember when we first met? I do. I was just a scared kid. You were never just a kid. You've always been special. Doctor, can I confess something? Of course. That day when Thunder calmed down with me, I was more surprised than anyone. How so? I wasn't sure it would work. I just knew I had to try. And that's what made all the difference. The courage to try. At the graduation party, Walter gave an emotional speech. 10 years ago, a boy came to our ranch with nothing. Today, that boy has become a man who will change the world. Dad, Tommy interrupted, I don't want to change the world. I just want to do my part. And that's exactly why you will change the world, son. Tommy set up his veterinary clinic next to Willow Creek Ranch. He wanted to stay close to the family that gave him a second chance. His first patient was a colt no one could approach. Dr. Tommy, the owner said, I've tried everything. You're my last hope. Tommy observed the colt for a few minutes, then smiled. I can help, but it'll take patience. How long? As long as he needs. 3 weeks later, the colt was calm and sociable. How did you do it? The owner asked in awe. By talking to him, Tommy replied simply. Talking? Yes. Every animal has a story. When you discover that story, you understand their behavior. Tommy's reputation spread quickly. His clinic became the go-to place for difficult cases. Tommy, said Martha one afternoon, don't you think you should charge more for your services? Why, Mom? Because you solve cases no one else can. Your work is worth a lot. Mom, if I charge too much, only rich folks will be able to afford me. And poor people's animals deserve care too. Martha hugged her son. Your grandmother raised a boy with a good heart. And you helped raise an even better man. At 25, Tommy received an unexpected invitation. Dr. Tommy, said the secretary, there's a gentleman here to see you. Who is it? He says he's a cattle rancher, came from Dallas. Tommy went down to greet the visitor, an elegant man in his 60s. Dr. Tommy, my name is Richard Miller. I need your help. How can I help you? I have a bull I bought 2 years ago, spent a fortune on him, but I've never been able to control the animal. Tommy felt a shiver. What's he like? Black, curved horns, very aggressive. He's broken who knows how many fences. What's his name? Thunder. Tommy smiled. Mr. Richard, can I ask you something? Of course. Did you buy that bull from a rancher in Texas? Richard's eyes widened. How did you know? Because I know Thunder. In fact, he's the one who changed my life. Tommy told the whole story, and Richard listened in disbelief. So you're the boy from the legend? What legend? The story of the boy who tamed the untamable bull. I thought it was a myth. It's no myth. And I can help you with Thunder. Even after all this time? Animals don't forget who treated them well, just like people. A week later, Tommy traveled to Dallas. When he arrived at Richard's ranch, he was surprised. Thunder looked very different, older with some gray hairs but still majestic. Hey, old friend, Tommy said, approaching the pen. The bull lifted his head toward the familiar voice. Remember me? Slowly, the animal moved closer to the fence. It's me, Tommy. I've grown, huh? Tommy reached out and touched the bull's muzzle just like he had years before. You helped me find my calling. Now I'm a real vet. Thunder shook his head as if he understood. But I see you've been a little down. What happened? Observing the bull's behavior, Tommy quickly found the problem. Mr. Richard, Thunder is depressed. Depressed? Animals get depressed? Of course they do, especially when they're isolated from others. But he's aggressive. He's aggressive because he's lonely. Bulls are social animals, they need company. Tommy suggested putting a few cows in the neighboring pasture, separated only by a fence. Within days, Thunder's behavior had completely changed. It's unbelievable, Richard said. The solution was so simple. The best solutions always are, Tommy replied. The hard part is figuring them out. Before returning to Texas, Tommy said goodbye to the bull. See you, big guy. Now you'll be happy again. Thunder seemed to understand, approaching the fence one last time. Thank you for everything you taught me. Without you, I'd never have found my path. Back at Willow Creek Ranch, Tommy found the whole family gathered. How was your trip, son? Asked Walter. Emotional, Dad. I reunited with an old friend. Thunder? Yes. And you know what? He gave me one last lesson. What lesson? That we never stop learning. Even after years of study, there's always something new to discover. Martha served dinner and the family sat at the table, as they did every night. "Tommy," said Emily, "have you ever thought about writing a book about your experiences?" "A book? Yes. A lot of people could learn from your stories. I don't know if I'm much of a writer." "You're a good storyteller," Martha said. "It's almost the same thing." Tommy thought about the suggestion for a few weeks. Finally, he decided to give it a try. The book would be called Talking with Animals: What a Bull Taught Me About Life. It took him 2 years to write, working in his spare time. When it was ready, he sent it to a few publishers. "Dr. Tommy," said the editor, who agreed to publish the book, "this is an extraordinary story." "Thank you. And very well written. Are you sure this is your first book?" "It is. Why?" "Because you have a natural talent for writing." The book became a success. Tommy began giving lectures across the country, sharing his story and teaching his method. "Dr. Tommy," a child asked during one lecture, "how can I talk to animals like you do?" "First, you learn to observe," Tommy replied. "Then you learn to be patient, and finally you learn to respect." "Is it hard?" "Not hard. It just takes practice. My dog sometimes gets mad at me." "When does he get mad?" "When I yell at him." "So now you know what not to do, right?" The child smiled. "Don't yell." "That's right. See how easy it is?" By the age of 30, Tommy was recognized as one of the country's leading experts on animal behavior. He received invitations to international conferences, and his techniques were studied in universities worldwide. But he never forgot his roots. "Dr. Tommy," a reporter asked in an interview, "what would you change in your story if you could go back?" Tommy thought for a moment. "Nothing. Everything happened the way it needed to." "Even the hard times?" "Especially the hard times. They taught me to appreciate the good things." "And what was the most important lesson you learned?" "That there's no problem without a solution. Only people who give up too soon." "Was that something your grandmother taught you?" "My grandmother planted the seed, my adoptive family watered it, and life made it grow." That evening, Tommy had dinner at home with his family, as he always did when he was in town. "Dad," Tommy said, "can I ask you something?" "Of course, son." "Do you regret adopting me?" Walter nearly choked on his juice. "Tommy, what kind of question is that?" "It's just, sometimes I wonder, if you'd known I'd become this famous person, would you have treated me differently?" "Tommy," Martha said, her voice trembling, "we didn't adopt you because we thought you'd be famous. We adopted you because we love you. And we'd still love you even if you were just an ordinary rancher," Walter added. "Thank you," Tommy said, his eyes glistening. "Sometimes I need to hear that." "Son," Emily said, "you've never changed. You're still the same humble boy who came here." "That's because you never let the fame go to my head." "And we never will," Martha laughed. At 35, Tommy decided to create a foundation to teach his method for free to small ranchers. "Dr. Tommy," the lawyer said, "are you sure? This will cost a lot of money." "I'm sure. It's my way of giving back for everything I've received." The Tommy Thompson Foundation became a national reference for animal welfare. "Tommy," Walter said proudly, "your grandmother would be so proud." "Dad, do you know what I'm most proud of?" "What?" "Having a family that truly loves me. Everything else is just a bonus." The end. And you, dear listener, what did you think of this story of perseverance and love? Do you believe Tommy made the right decisions? Have you ever been in a situation where patience and love made all the difference? Share your thoughts in the comments and tell us where you're watching from. Don't forget to like the video and, most importantly, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other heartwarming stories like this one. Thank you so much for joining us.